Hey guys, No Lar here, back with another 5.9 video, and today we got some interesting news. Might have dashed your hopes, but there's something that happened today. It was the Microsoft live event, I guess is the best way to put it, and they started announcing a bunch of stuff like Windows 11. Again, you're probably thinking, what does this have to do with us? Well, as you can see right here, Microsoft is bringing Android apps to Windows 11 with Amazon's App Store. So you could run Android's apps on your Windows device, which is interesting. But before we dive right in, I've got Hydros and I've got Gail. Guys, say hello to the beautiful people.
Hello, everybody. Hopefully, you're all doing
What's
well.
going
on? With that said, if you guys like the content, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're new here, and hit that notification bell so you know when we go live with more videos like this. So, diving right in, today's reveal said that they're bringing Android to Windows 11 via the Amazon's App Store. Now, for most of you guys who actually run Android, I think 99% of you guys usually just run Google Play, right? You hit the Google Play button, download your apps, run whatever you want. There are other app stores out there. For example, when we play JP Dokkan, there's Q app, but the other big one in the US is Amazon's App Store. And Microsoft is using that particular version to bridge some Android apps into Windows 11. How's this going to work? Well, as it says right here, apps will be listed in the new Windows Store, and Microsoft is partnering with Intel to use its Intel Bridge technology to make this a reality. So, they showed it off using TikTok, Snapchat, Ring, because there's some apps that you would think mostly have web equivalents, so you can use a browser. Well, some of them don't. And so this would be useful to have on your Windows device if you need to log in and check in with some stuff. But yeah, so far it's interesting. Not really sure exactly when this is coming out. I know they've been talking about making Android apps available for Windows for a while. I think as far back right here from 2015. So it's going to be interesting to see. What are your guys' initial impression on this, Gail?
I mean, it's cool. We already use a lot of like emulators and stuff, and especially with the whole Safetynet and Dokkan thing going on. We've been saying like how important emulators can be for people who may just have a laptop and not a proper phone that can run it, or a phone that may not have enough space to hold Dokkan anymore, right? So initially there was obviously that hype of potentially getting a natively running, on your PC, officially licensed Android device you can use to download apps. But then the more you look at it with the whole Amazon App Store, and considering how bare bones the Amazon App Store is, there's not many games on it. Like, there's none of our gachas or anything, because a lot of them use the Google Play services, which is to be expected. So it's a bit iffy, but it does show promise for what could be for the future, right? In the future, if they ever manage to integrate the Google Play services on a future version of Windows or something, it's promising in that regards, at least in my opinion, I suppose.
All right, Hydros, what are your initial thoughts on this?
Seeing it initially, just with the whole Windows 10 look, especially, it looks literally like Mac OS pretty much. So it makes me think of the way they did their, they natively run their iPad apps with their new processor and stuff, except this one's specifically using the Intel Bridge. And, as Gail said, as you dive more into it, looking at it, it's the Amazon store. What developers are going to put their apps on the Amazon store when Google Play is much more accessible, larger, and that's what most people are going to use anyway. And this isn't really, people are calling it like an emulator, quote unquote, but it's not. It is, but it isn't, because it's not running Android. It's just emulating the ability to compile and run the specific apps on your computer. It's not actually Android doing it. It's just Intel's bridge technology that allows it to, run these things. And because it's Intel, AMD is most likely not going to work. So it's already limiting you right out the gate.
Yeah, I mean, considering I currently just got I just got a new setup with an AMD processor. I'm just there like, well, damn. That's out of the window already for me.
I mean, yes, which is interesting for you guys who may or may not know, AMD has been heating up for the last couple of years. They've been pushing Intel very hard. They're actually better CPUs overall, and they're cheaper, or at least competitively priced. So it's kind of interesting that Windows and Microsoft is like, oh, we'll partner with Intel, even though the market share is shrinking for them. Maybe they signed a deal with them, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, I recently been running AMD stuff, and of course Gale just got one. I think Hydro says you still got your Threadripper. So yeah, unfortunately, we won't be able to run stuff like this unless we go out and buy a new
No. I don't have a Threadripper right now.
Oh, that's
I don't
right.
have Threadripper right now.
You've been
That's
wanting
Nas.
one. Okay, yeah.
Yes, I do want a Threadripper.
Okay, so already this cuts out the potential for I don't know what the number may be, but a chunk of people who could potentially do this, right? Because they're running AMD processors. This wouldn't work for them at all. So
The way I will say the way they've stated it makes it seem like it's potentially going to be available to every chip that has a x86 architecture in it. But at the same time, the way they've specified Intel Bridge and whatnot, it just seems like it's going to be able to run only on Intel processors, right? Like that's the biggest issue here.
Well, the problem is with x86, most PCs don't even run 32-bit, which is what x86 is. Most computers, even Android phones and games, don't operate much anymore on the x86 architecture. Dokkan, specifically, if you want to mention one, runs on 64 and ARM 64, which the Intel bridge that is going to be doing that supposedly actually converts, the Intel bridge converts ARM code to x86 and possibly 64 so that it would work on this. But at some point they may introduce AMD to then allow this, but I guess they just partnered with Intel at first just to kind of get them on the ball first and stuff like that. But as of right now, AMD's not going to work. Eventually AMD could come to the table and stuff like that at some point, but most games like Dokkan are x80 or x64. x86 is kind of even emulators have the option, I believe, to choose between 64 and x86. So
yeah.
Well, okay, since you brought up the elephant in the room, Dokkan, with what's been going on with Safetynet, for the 10,000th, millionth time, Hydros, can you break down how Safetynet operates on a technical level? Therefore, we can decipher if this is even going to work on Windows 11. So go ahead, buddy.
So, Safetynet, it's a Google Play service or code that allows app developers to implement to where they can actually verify the legitimacy of the app that you're using. They can't stop mods, but it will detect it. So Safetynet will detect if you're using a modified APK, for instance, on Android. Also, Safetynet is specifically Android. iOS has their device check. That's another thing for another day. But this is specifically Androids, obviously, but it detects your modified APKs, detects if your phone has root, which there are ways to bypass root and stuff like that with like Magics and all that kind of stuff. But if it has if there is hardware Safetynet, which most phones nowadays, the newer ones that come with I believe Android 10 and above, have a hardware actual Safetynet in the device itself, not just software related, but a hardware spec as well. That is very difficult, if at all not at all possible to bypass whatsoever. So that's a thing. And with Safetynet, again, it would detect what I say, the modified apps, root, and pretty much anything that you do to the game, they will know, basically, because they send in a token to the Google Play servers that also send it back to them, and they can verify the legitimacy of that token based on what it sends, or if it actually fails. So right now it's not turned on, but they can do that at any point. They don't have to update the game. They don't have to do any of that. They can turn it on literally whenever they want because it's already in the game. With this on Windows and with emulators specifically, emulators cannot emulate, fake, or send Safetynet tokens. So that's why emulators are basically dead in the water when this does turn on. And the Windows thing specifically, because this isn't running Android, like even like an emulator running Android, this is just running on the Windows operating system. It's kind of like a bare bones a way to actually run the app itself.
Yep.
So Windows won't be able to send Safetynet tokens at all. So Dokkan will still not work. if at all, if this even uses Google Play services, which if it's using Amazon, most likely
Most
not,
likely not. Yeah.
because it's most likely using just Amazon services to run and all that kind of stuff. So Google Play services are a thing. Without Google Play services, Safetynet won't run. Without Safetynet running, Dokkan won't let you into the game. So you're not going to be able to play basically at all with the game. Now,
Yeah.
in terms of private servers, those can still technically run because you're blocking off the communication with the official server. So that would still be a thing. But if you're playing it and you just want to play it on your own, you're not gonna. Just to put it simple, you're not gonna.
Okay, so just to recap there. You've got two sides of Safetynet. You've got the software side, which is like more or less the Google Play services, and then you have the hardware side, which is if you have a newer phone, most of these literally have a chip built into your phone that validates Safetynet. This Windows 11 doesn't have the hardware side, obviously, but on the software side, if it's not running Google Play services, you can't do that. I'm gonna add one more thing. For the most part, unless without Google Play services, you can't really make purchases through Google, right? Like, so when you buy something on your app, it pulls up all the stuff on Google and you could pay for it there. But with Amazon App Store, they have their own service. It's just Amazon coins. So you basically go to Amazon, buy coins, and then you use those coins to make purchases in app. But again, the developers need to support that, right? So if they put it on the Amazon App Store, then they can be supported that way. I don't know if they get, because I know Google takes, I think, 30% from every purchase made, and that's the same thing with Apple. They take about 30%. So if I spend $100 on, Dokkan, well, Google's eating 30% of that, and then the rest goes to Akatsuki and Bandai. So unless other developers put it on the Amazon App Store, there's no ways to make in-app purchases. So that's just another thing I wanted to put it out there. Which again, does that if you can't make money off it, will people care? Right? So, what are your thoughts on Safetynet?
No,
yeah. So what's your thought on Safetynet now, Gail?
I mean, I still think I can understand both sides of the coin. Obviously the players who, are looking for that single player experience, don't really care about the game itself and just want to, summon and whatnot. So mods is of course there. And then of course the players who want to emulate because they may not have an actual, phone to use it on. They're the ones suffering. But at the same time, I can also see, from the content creation standpoint, from a fan standpoint who wants to get hyped for these units and stuff like that, it obviously will help out a bit. I definitely have a much better understanding of Safetynet now after these last like 1 or 2 months, not gonna lie, of Hydra's continuously explaining it on the multiple podcasts as well as just these videos we've been doing as well. But in my opinion, I think it is a good thing and a bad thing. Of course, for Bandai and Akatsuki, it's a good thing because it'll just generate them more money as well as just a much more secure game effectively as well at the end of the day, especially if they want to start adding, especially with the fabled version Z, whatever they plan on adding in that. If they do plan on adding some big things there, then this might help out quite a bit. So it just comes down to whatever version Z ends up being and to see if it is going to be worth it in the long run, right? I think that's the biggest thing. We'll have to just see how Safetynet affects those aspects, right?
Right. So, I guess we've more or less covered it, guys. As exciting as this news was, it seems like based on what we understand, and of course things can change, right? We just had an announcement today. Maybe they add Google Play services, so that's one step closer to getting other games on there and stuff like that. But based on what we saw and having the expert technical person here in Hydros break it down for us, there's not much hope to get Dokkan to play on your Windows 11 machine. So, anything else you guys want to say before we close out here?
There's promise. It's at least something, right? It's a good step in the right direction. At least, having at least some Android apps being able to run, even though it's via Amazon services, like I said at the start. It's promise. At the end of the day, I would love to be able to have some of my Android apps on my laptop because it just makes it easier to record. I'm not gonna lie. More than anything else, I don't really care about I need it on my Windows because my phone doesn't have space. No, that's not really the case. It's just ease of recording and ease of use because anyways you do so much on your laptop. Having some Android apps running on the side maybe would be kind, especially mobile games and stuff. But yeah, at least it's a step in the right direction. Shame that it isn't what we thought it was, like on first sight, right? But hey, you never know what could happen in the future. So good step in the right direction, but just not there yet.
Hi, Joes.
Hydros?
Yeah. In my opinion, I don't think it'll really go much past the Amazon store just because developers like Akatsuki can reach more people through Google Play. It is another avenue for them to get revenue, but at the same time, you have to think about it from their perspective as well. You know, if they don't like emulators for the sheer fact that you can still mod the game, this gives you even more ease of access just to mod the game. So
Yeah.
most developers, especially pay to win gotchas, are probably not going to be shoved into this store sheerly for that specific reason is they don't want their games tampered with that much. So
Do you think it's a potential, like maybe in like, I don't know, Windows 12, let's say, for example, if they manage to secure the services of Google Play services, and of course the hardware side manages to catch up, and future motherboards, chips, whatever it may be, has the features to be able to, do the whole safety net situation, do you think by then they will be more willing to potentially put it on then?
I mean, they could, but with a computer like with Windows, with really any computer, Linux, Mac, Windows, you have a lot more ease of access to mess with
Hmm.
tampering with files. So while it may be good if they get to that point, a lot of developers are probably going to be like, if they can get their games just tampered with in more ways on a computer than they could with a mobile device. That just opens up a whole different can of worms for them that they don't want to deal with, most likely. So
Fair enough.
Alrighty.
And I agree with that.
Yeah, guys. So you guys let us know your thoughts down below. Hopefully, we kind of cleared it up some more. Maybe again, there's opportunities down the line, all that stuff to get Google Play services. Maybe Intel laptop manufacturers, desktops will put in the actual hardware needed for Android 10 for the hardware safety net portion. So with that said, guys, thanks a lot. This is us dissecting the Windows 11 announcements that really pertains to us here as the gamers. So with that said, on behalf of myself, Gail, and Hydros, we'll see you all in the next one.
Bye bye.